This is your daily briefing, so sit up straight and pay attention. We're in a bit of a pickle. That's the unofficial line. The official line is that we're looking for the right man. So let's start off with how that right man might be feeling if he were approached by our illustrious leader. I think there's a number of emotional hurdles to overcome, because so much is in the public domain now that this isn't like a conventional job interview. In fact, it's the opposite of a conventional job interview. Am I seriously better than Poch? Can I build on where the club had been? Am I seriously better than Jose? Can I get a tune out of a team, out of a squad that he could not? And this is the killer. Am I seriously better than Antonio Conte? And I'm going to come back to the specifics of Conte because there's a lot here that doesn't stack up. And it's come from England. And that tells me it's come from the club. And I think Conte comes out of this with his integrity intact. And Daniel's integrity is down the toilet. That's the polite version. So if you're looking for somebody, and let's take it out of the interview arena. If you're looking for somebody, and say, for example, you're looking for a girl to talk to in a disco, are you happy if you're the girl, if you're only approached with 10 minutes to go before the gaff is shut for the night? And this is where we identify how Levy operates, and hypothetical comedy sketch that Levy walks into a disco, sits down, goes up to the bar and says to the barman, I'm going to buy 4 drinks while I'm here tonight, so I want a deal on the 4 drinks and I want a VAT receipt. When anybody in their right mind would be looking to see if there's any nice girls around. So the information in the public domain is so damning that the press officer, and Simon, this is on you, mate, okay? So let's not shilly-shally around. None of the HOTSPUR way media boys have contacts at the club in the sort of traditional, on our geezer down there, sense. That doesn't happen anymore. Journalists very rarely get their heads up on stuff. And it tends to come via, should we say, less conventional routes, the information. So the press officer told reporters that Ten Hag didn't interview well via Zoom. Yet the first thing the press do is say, well, they're going to go back to Ten Hag. And this is the dance. This is the absolute disinformation waltz that we're being led through here, because the club is in tatters. I mean, if you were Ten Hag, would you go back? Would you say to them, like the contestant on those awful reality shows, oh yeah, don't bin me, you haven't seen the best of me yet, there's so much more to me? And those are the last words of somebody who is essentially one-dimensional. And Ten Hag is, as AVB would say, a man of considerable dimensions. Would you go back and talk again with Levy after this? So whoever takes this job does so with the express and certain knowledge that they are a complete and utter afterthought. Which brings us on very neatly to the point, why did Conte say no? And if we're to take the reasons that have been put into the public domain at face value and say that they're right, then this is really, really, really scary. Did Conte really cause a problem by refusing to coach youth players? Well, first of all, I'd say as a sweeping statement from Simon or the club or whatever, That doesn't make any sense, because any coach worth his salt, and I think Mourinho showed it to a certain extent, certainly more than Poch ever did, that if the kids are any good, it's in your best interest to get them involved, to start using them. And we've seen little glimpses of Dane Scarlett and his pals. So I don't think any coach would turn around and say, look, I mean, with being rational here, Scarlett's 17 or something. So nobody in their right mind is going to say, look, I want you to build a team around him, or I want him to start playing, in Category C games. So this doesn't stack up. We're also told that there was a €3 million difference in the money involved, which may or may not have been something to do with the Conte wanting 7 lads on his team opposed to 4. And if you're talking to me about the money being too much, weren't we paying Bale £1 million a month to score against Category C teams? And if Conte did truly wish to bring 7 and it was unreasonable, is that because they wanted to include Mason and King into the equation? Just start again. Is it because they wanted to include Mason and King into the equation? Because Mason, in a very short space of time, has proved that he doesn't really offer anything. And King, love him as a player, I'd be more interested in seeing what Chris Powell had to offer. But defensively, we were shocking last season. Conte was also said to have been more interested in getting in and winning and getting out. And we go back to this situation with the way managers operate in the 21st century. They're not building. All of this absolute spiel we got from Levy and we got from Poch. Nobody's building. You get in, you get out. The life expectancy is so short. You can, if things don't go well, be at risk of losing your job after literally 3 games. So if Conte wanting to win as soon as possible is a problem, now that really rings an alarm bell. That tells us that Daniel Levy wants to do that whole milking the top 4 thing forever and ever and ever. And this is the grimmest part of it all. Save the guano for dessert. I've been questioning the whole modus operandi of ENIC and the stadium since before they demolished the other perfectly lovely White Hart Lane and set about this whole brand new Brave World thing, because it struck me that it wasn't about football, and like perhaps hopefully most of you watching this, I fell in love with a football club and not a property portfolio. So my next question is about Levy himself, and I don't want you to misinterpret this as me just being unkind. This is all based on fact, okay? And you tell me. He's 59. Now, perhaps it's the new 49, but the reality is, I'm asking the question, are his perceptions, are his worldviews a little bit out of date? I remember when bricks and mortar stores were the places to be. Town centres were packed. There were street markets, parochial sort of mid-size city centres would have park and ride schemes to act as an overflow to get people in. So you're talking like the 80s, the early 90s, and before everything went south. But those days have gone, and now it's all online, and shops were already living on borrowed time before the whole COVID thing came. Yet Daniel Levy has committed, built and opened the largest retail space in Europe for a football club. Now I appreciate, land is a little bit cheaper in North London than it might be in central London, but isn't there a basic premise here that might get him out of jail? If retail has collapsed as a sector, conventional retail, bricks and mortar retail, wouldn't you need, even if you had 62,000 people pouring in a door and pouring out of a door, wouldn't you need people to be motivated to buy the merchandise? And if Spurs don't win anything, I'm telling you from experience, as a child, as a teenager, as a man, and now a slightly more mature man, if you go in the club shop after a loss, the only people in there are tourists. And the motivation to get a shirt and get a player who's scoring freely is only there if you're winning, only if they're scoring freely. If you're a big Dele Alli fan, I mean, I'm speaking in baby language here, I mean, you all understand how this works. Dele Alli's scoring every game, Dele Alli personalised shirts, fly out. But if you're not winning, then are you really going to go to the pub with Dele Alli on your back if the guy's struggling even to compete for 60 minutes and assists and goals are a thing of the past? And then we've got the NFL thing. And again, because I am of a certain vintage, despite my boyish looks, of course, I remember when American football was huge in the UK. A friend of mine opened a little sports shop and it was packed full of, Dodgers and Raiders, and you can probably tell I have no understanding of all that, but it was the thing. And there were local NFL teams that played each other. It was all a bit weird because it was like, it was somebody's, otherwise football or cricket pitch that was getting destroyed. But that was decades ago. And have a look on Google, because I found it very, very easily, that the number of people playing the sport, playing American football in the UK, has fallen notably over the years. Now, I'm not knocking the NFL, it's clearly huge, but there are issues in the States with people actually going to games. So that's a bigger question. I'm not going to go down that route. But he's secured 2 games a season. And I'm just struggling with it. And my conclusion is that we've got an analog Danny in a digital age. So what's the solution then? Well, the quick answer, is that whoever Levy appoints, it's academic. Because if he couldn't convince Conte to come in, then that says that the same restraints are there, that the director of football and Daniel will look at the prospective transfers and then let you know what you're getting. And there will be modest spending, and the fallback for that, the kind of like, well, the reason we're only giving you modest sums is because we're not actually serious. We just want to do that, keep the little rolling thing in the top 4, keep getting through to semi-finals. It's missing the entire reason football fans are football fans. It's aiming at a sector that, to my mind, is either so narrow or so awful I can't even countenance it. But these are spreadsheet fans. And the idea that you have a football club that isn't set up with its sole purpose in mind to win stuff is terrifying. Because I don't need to explain it, do I? I don't need to go on. You need to win. You need to achieve tangible success. And I've made the joke before. Winning is the metric in professional sport. If it isn't, then you fill in all the holes on every golf course in the country. You have a horse race, you wave them off, but then you just watch them go round and round forever. So Levy needs to have a real think, and I don't think he is. I think he's on a mission. The question is, how long can this crusade, and this is what this is now, how long? And crusades invariably don't work, and they're always really expensive in the long run. How long can you keep this crusade running? Joe Lewis needs to look to what's happening on the, this wing of his enormous business empire, because this is going to go wrong really soon. The idea that Poch is going to come back from PSG, even if he did, which is just nonsense, doesn't make an iota of sense, makes emotional sense to weak-minded people, but to football people it doesn't make any sense at all. Even if Poch came back, he's returning to the same burnt-out car that he left. So what does Daniel do? He must change. There isn't anything out there that can make itself the right fit for what he's offering. I wish I could be cheerier about things, but what do you want me to tell you? I don't have a press officer in my ear telling me that, it'll be sorted out in a couple of weeks. And that press officer, is it Mr. Feldstein or something? I'd get rid of him. Very quickly. You can't talk to reporters like that. It's disingenuous stuff that's being mumbled out of the club, and I think we've seen from a couple of journalists already, they feel like they've been played. I wish I had more for you that was a bit more upbeat, but this is the absolute carnage that we're facing, and it's all down to this crusade of building something which is purely designed to print off money. Purely designed to print off money. And I think there's flaws in the plan. There's fundamental flaws, and I think this is the whole project is actually out of touch with reality. COVID has made things worse. Yes, definitely, and nobody knew it was coming. Blah 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 blah. But you need to adapt. A business needs to be agile in order to survive. And this guy has pinned his undercrackers to the good ship Levy mast here, and I don't want to be on that ship when it sinks. And I'm serious. This is a horrible situation. Anyway, enough of this. Who needs this? Who would listen to this? Good luck and keep it Tottenham.